Hey, welcome. This is Christine Renee. You guys know me. I am joined with Bruce Taylor. You might know him. He has been on many times before on the ReikiCafe radio and also in our ReikiCafe community, our Facebook group. So we are joined together for another coffee conversation. Bruce is in France and it's like afternoon.
Yeah, it's 5 p.m. here and it's snowing, which is rare as well for us, which is awesome.
That's cool. I was like, it's snowing. That's kind of different for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And he's got his coffee ready to go for our coffee conversation. I'm the one who's like, I think I drank my coffee too fast this morning. I needed it this morning. So Bruce is doing this really awesome thing this year. We tried to do it. Was it last year? When did we try?
Last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 2022. Yeah, 2022 is supposed to be, was the 100th anniversary for Reiki. And we had some big plans. Bruce, why don't you tell them about our big plans?
Yeah, so last year I had been working, oh my gosh, I don't know how much had been sunk into it, probably 9 months of planning with my teacher and sensei in Japan, Hyakuten Inamoto. He and I had been talking back and forth, and we had finally nailed down a date for pilgrimage to Japan for the 100th anniversary to come together and celebrate Usui Reiki Ryoho and just Reiki in general. Because, you know, the 100th year anniversary of the practice of Usui Reiki Ryoho is in many ways, in reality, where Reiki has kind of, modern Reiki anyways, has kind of come from. So the whole idea was to be there with everybody who was going to be there as well from all around the world celebrating together. And of course, COVID happened. And of course, the borders were closed and travel was too difficult and all of that. So all of that has now moved to this coming May. So it's like the 101st anniversary of Reiki Ryoho.
I kind of like that. 101, that's still a good number, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the borders are fully open now. Travel is fine. And I really, of course, we can never say anything definitive in this world with travel, right? But once that cat is out of the bag, I really can't see that countries are going to close their borders again, right? They've been suffering too much, and especially Japan with their downtick in tourism. Tourism was down by like 97%, which is a huge blow to their economy. So I doubt that they're going to be interested in closing those borders again. So as of right now, everything's open and we're going in May.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
But it gives rise to the question, how's the COVID rates in Japan right now? Like, I know things in China have been a little chaotic. Can we say the same for Japan, or has it been pretty smooth for them?
All of that is just relegated to China. Yeah, so, you know, like in a couple of days, I'll be in Hong Kong, and it's not even, obviously Hong Kong is part of China now, and it's right on the border of mainland China. But even Hong Kong doesn't have the same policies that and outbreaks and issues and stuff that China is having. So Japan is no problem at all.
Awesome. I was hoping you were going to say that. I'm like, should be all good. Everything's all good. Japan.
Everything's all good. Yeah. Everything's all good. Absolutely. Right? Everything. And now look, we're at this point, like here I am in France and we don't even think about it anymore. I'm sure it's the same in the US for you. Nobody wears masks. Everybody, it's just a thing of the past. So unless things really, you know, go down the toilet and get really bad, like if it blows up again with new variants, whatever, I don't think we're going to have any issues here.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think we're going to get back to that. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
Be there in May in Japan, coming together for the practice. It's going to be incredible.
So I was looking at my timeline and I was thinking, okay, I should be getting my passport right now. If you don't have a passport, we have to do it right now. What else is on the timeline? Like if we were going to be signing up, because early bird for your tour, and I want to get into that too. But early bird ends at the end of this month. This is the time to make sure your passport hasn't expired, that it's all up to date. And that process takes a few months.
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak to how long that is in the US. I know you can get it expedited in most every country if need be, right? But I would really allocate, 4 to 5 weeks minimum if you have to get a passport updated. And just so everybody knows, the standard length of validity for your passport after the trip is something like 6 months. So what I mean by that is if we're going, well, we're going in May. So you would need a passport that is valid until at least November of 2023, but more likely it's better to have 9 months just to be totally safe. So you would want your passport valid until February 2024. So if it's not, then you might consider getting it either redone or renewed or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Renewing a passport is way easier than getting a passport.
Okay, good. Right? We just send in your old renewal, fill out some paperwork, get a new picture.
Yep.
We're good to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Still give it 5, 6, 7 weeks. With COVID, maybe things have slowed down. I don't know. But you can expedite things as well if need be.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So tell us a little bit about what's on the agenda, and then we can kind of go, what else do we need to know to keep moving forward to like make those steps to say yes to this?
Yeah, so I mean, the most critical thing right now is the early bird, like you've said. That early bird is ending at the end of the month, and it's a pretty substantial savings. It's something like 25% off of the tour price, right? And then from there, as we move closer to the date, what I'll be doing is setting up a private Facebook group with everybody who is going, and then the people who are signing up after the Facebook group has been sorted, they'll be coming into the group. And the whole point of that group is to facilitate all the logistics. So people are going to be able to, and this is super cool actually, they're going to be able to come together for lodging, to be able to share lodging, to make it really cheap. If people don't know, it's very standard and traditional in Japan to sleep together in one big room or multiple rooms. And they're not set up like bedrooms like we would think in the West. So you've got one large room with heated floors and really nice futons that are on the ground. Like think ultra deluxe bed just on the ground. And then you've got maybe 6 of those in one long room. And they do that to keep the heat, right? Traditionally, I don't mean now. It's not like the homes aren't heated. I'm talking about back in the day, right? So the benefit of this is when we come together and we start organizing the lodgings, people are going to be able to recognize a huge savings. Actually, it's going to be very economical on the lodging. Thinking something like 30 to 40 US dollars per person per night to have a really beautiful old, rice paper wall, like super traditional fountain in the bonsai garden outside, or the stone Zen garden that's inside the house, like just works of art, absolute works of art, these places. And they're not expensive when we do it like this. So that's going to be the next step coming forward. And also in that Facebook group, I'm going to be giving the transport logistics and all that type of stuff as well. Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. I love that, because I want to kind of talk a little bit about the money, because, Americans, our inflation went up, our value of the dollar went down. And, I was having this conversation with my parents. So my dad and I are both very interested in joining, and we're totally like on board. And my mom was like, but our value of the dollar isn't worth as much. And my dad goes, well, this is the perfect time to do international travel, actually. And so I'd like you to kind of dive into this, like to understand, like actually right now is the time to travel, because our dollar can go a lot farther.
Yeah, I'm just taking a moment here to look on a graph of the Japanese yen. So I won't get into the discussions on the conversions and stuff, but I'll just say this, like in January 2022, so a year ago, 100 US dollars was worth about 10,000 Japanese yen, and now it's worth 13,000 Japanese yen. So that's an added benefit there of about 20 to 30%. So that means your $1 right now, even with all the inflation and the crazy movement of the US dollar, has about 30% more purchasing power in Japan at the moment than it did last year when we were planning on going.
Yeah, so I kind of be like, oh, wait, can we say that again for the people in the back? Like,
yeah.
Right.
So 25 to 30% more purchasing power, right, at the moment. So that just means it goes that much further. Yeah. It's like one meal free per day. You could think about it like that, right?
Yeah, right. And so I think like, maybe there's a reason and purpose why we had to wait a year, right?
Like, that would be a good reason and purpose right there, for sure.
This is a great time to travel. and to make that financial investment, and thinking of it as this is an investment. This is an investment for your practice. This is an investment for your business. This is an investment for your personal development. Like, it's an investment and it's well worth it, especially right now when the dollar is worth more in
Right.
Japan.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and speaking to the cost of the trip, I want to just reiterate, you know, this is I'm leading this trip, but Inamoto Sensei is going to be there pretty much the entire week. So it's like you're having, you know, the guidance of two people on this trip. And further, you're going to be learning from both myself and Inamoto Sensei. And I'll step away from that conversation because he's my teacher. Like, it's such an honor to be in his presence. Without any hyperbole, I don't think you can get any higher in the Reiki world. Like, learning from the source, people who are, you know, right at the source of it, the experts, that's where you're making the investment. You know, you're going to be spending your time with both myself and him. And I've spent a huge amount of time in private sessions and private trainings with him in Japan. So you're going to get all of that bang for your buck, as it were, coming out of this retreat. You're going to have a full week learning from both of us. And that is going to further differentiate everybody who comes on this retreat from all of the Reiki peers. And I don't mean that as like a hierarchical thing. I mean that from a very logical business investment, and an investment in yourself and an investment in your practice.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely say that once you have been on a pilgrimage such as this, and this isn't like just coming to Japan as a tourist, you know, like I can go to some of the temples, but I can't do everything that Bruce is offering on this pilgrimage. And that's why it's different from just a retreat or just going as a tourist. So can you kind of give us the itinerary of you know, what temples we're going to? Like, let's just do a refresher. I know that many of our listeners have, we've kind of gone over this, but I'd love to just kind of give a refresher of like, okay, who is Inamoto again? Who's Hyakuten?
Yeah, sure. So
yeah.
Hyakuten, you know, he's my teacher. He's a Pure Land Buddhist monk. He founded Komyo Reiki-Do. He is 2 teachers removed from Usui Sensei. He is, as Usui Sensei was, he's also a Pure Land Buddhist monk. So they have that same lineage as well outside of Reiki, which is really important because obviously Reiki is not a religious practice or anything like that, but it's framed within the cultural context of Pure Land Japanese Buddhism. So we're going to be even privy to that discussion as well, which is worth its weight in gold because it helps us to understand things like the symbols, right? Like the precepts, like the poems from the Meiji Emperor and so on, that are the foundations of the practice of Usui Reiki Ryoho. And notice, like, from that foundation, all the other forms of Reiki have been derived. Right. So you're going to the confluence here as opposed to the tributaries. You're going to learn where all of the energy and the background and the information, the knowledge, right, the history, all of that is flowing into Reiki from this source. If you've studied Karuna Reiki or Tibetan Reiki or Reiki Tumo, or like the 75 other types of Reiki that there are, they all would trace back to this. And Inamoto Sensei is probably, I can think of maybe one other person that would be at his level, but as far as like living connections to the roots of Reiki, he would be your guy.
Yeah.
Right. To be connected with.
Yeah. So I'm a perfect example, right? I'm very much westernized doing Reiki, and yet I hear the calling and I want to go to the roots. And part of that is not to say I don't honor what I've created and how I practice. It's going back to the roots is going to help fulfill me to the point where I can overflow, and it may or may not influence my current practice and how I do a session, but it's going to significantly impact my personal practice and my personal life. Right. And I think that's what I need. I kind of, my son was joking with me the other day and he's like, Mom, I think I need a dopamine reset. And I'm like, he wants to do a dopamine detox. And I was like, you are 16 and you're talking about dopamine detoxes. And I'm like, yes, please. And thank you. Right. So it's this like, I want part of this for me is that because I live in the Western world, because I live in a very fast-paced, oriented, do, go, rush, pace of life, this is kind of like my reset button. And if I want to hit the reset button, I want to be all in with Reiki and meditation. Like that's what I want my dopamine detox to be, if you will. I don't want to be around the screens. I don't want to be taking selfies at every temple. I really want to be there for a deeper experience and being held in a space that I feel really safe. So being with Sensei Hyakuten and Bruce Taylor here, like I think that is going to be the perfect alchemy, if you will, of what can we bring? Like we're, regardless of what lineage we're practicing, but kind of returning to the source, we're going to feed ourselves in a way that we can't otherwise do it. And that's what I'm looking forward to. So yes, there is a bit of a like, I can throw away my computer and my phone for a week. I'm in. And that I just want to be immersed. I want to be immersed in Reiki everywhere I turn, immersed in the mindfulness, immersed in the tentativeness of the moment. You know, there's so much power in the power of now, and it's not in the past and it's not in the future. And I do a lot of work in those realms, but the most influential is, can we come to this very moment, this precise moment, and just be there? And this is an opportunity to sit in that space where everyone else is striving for the same thing and the same, same mindset, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to put it, you know, and just hearing what you're saying there, I think it's going to be so powerful for people, regardless of how you've studied or how many, you know, layers your lineage has, or, you know, what you would say you practice with Reiki. Imagine that you have advanced however far down your own journey with Reiki, right? But now you're going to go all the way back to the beginning and really solidify all of those roots. So it's going to be like you can look down the path that you've already traveled, and it very well may now make so much more sense, right? Like, oh, that's why I was taught that, but it was never fully explained this way, or that's why they used it, but my teacher didn't explain it like this, or why do I use this, and so on. All of that will just become clear, which will then allow you to supersede where you are at the current moment. You know, it's like leveling up your skills because you go back to solidify the base, the foundation. And with a stronger foundation, you can build an even bigger house, right?
Yes.
So it just expands. And you know, it's the same for me. Like my Reiki practice and journey, it took off exponentially once I went and studied in Japan. It accelerated my practice, my personal practice and my professional practice. Without any hyperbole or exaggeration, it absolutely took off because it was being there. It's like in some previous talks, I think I mentioned this. Imagine you're Catholic, you've been Catholic your whole life, and then you finally go to the Vatican or you meet the Pope or whatever. You know, it's like everything solidifies and then it takes off from there because you've just made that pilgrimage, right? These are why pilgrimages are so important, because you go back to the root.
Yeah, and I love that clarification. Like, this isn't just a retreat. This is something, this is unique. It really is a pilgrimage. And I love that. I'm excited. I'm ready. Let's go.
And you know, I'm so honored to be able to have this opportunity with Inamoto Sensei, because it's never been offered before. There's plenty of pilgrimages that are going to Japan, maybe with one teacher or whatever, but this one is with a living legend for a whole week. Yeah. And he's not offered these before, right? So I can't wait. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
Absolutely thrilled. And he's incredible. And the time together and to be able to teach together and to be able to hold that space together, it's going to be an absolute privilege to welcome everybody there and to be in that space. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's really a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You want me to go over a little bit of the itinerary?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Yeah, so the itinerary right now, I mean, these are the things that will be included. We just don't have a specific day for those set up. Once we get closer to the actual tour, then we'll have that set up. But there will be 2 trips to Mount Kurama. And Mount Kurama is the site of Usui Sensei's enlightenment. at Usugi Gongen. This is where he sat for 21 days and then recognized the great Reiki. So we will be there twice. We will be accompanied by both myself and Inamoto Sensei, and we'll be leading teachings and discussions and reiju on the mountain at the very place of Usui Sensei's enlightenment. So that in and of itself is incredible, to be able to go there, to be able to have the guides, to be able to be there holding Reiki classes and discussions at the actual the very physical location that this whole thing took off, right? So that's going to happen. We are also going to take a tour that I'm going to be leading to Mount Hiei. Mount Hiei is the birthplace of Pure Land Buddhism in Japan. So, you know, imagine these mountains are, because they are, this pristine, you know, pine forest mountains with temples all over the place, ancient trails everywhere, and you can feel the energy of the earth in these places. It's not a coincidence that, you know, Mount Kurama and Mount Hiei are right next to each other. They're literally right next to each other, separated by maybe 2 or 3 miles. There's so much outpouring of energy here that you can't help but be moved by the spirituality of this, right? So going into Mount Hiei and diving into the roots of Pure Land Buddhism to understand where the symbols actually came from, to understand the mythology and the iconography behind everything that we talk about in Reiki, but we just say like, oh, it's Chokurei, so we just do that. But why, where, when, you know, what's the background of it? These are not random symbols. They are symbols and meanings that have come, and they have a very rich tapestry based in Pure Land Buddhist esoteric thought. And so we're going to explore all of that together. And then further to that, we are going to have an incredible opportunity to be with Komyo Reiki-Do and all the Shihans, all of the teachers in the organization that Inamoto Sensei has set up for an evening of Reiki share, where we come together, we do reiju together, and we do shares together, and we have talks. So you'll be able to meet all of the Shihans, which is a teacher, and the practitioners with Komyo Reiki-Do in Kyoto. So that in and of itself is amazing. That's not really open. It's open to the public, but you have to know how to get into it, right? You can't just kind of rock up and knock on the door and come on in. You need to kind of be invited for that. So we're going to be there. Included and beyond that is going to be a number of teaching opportunities. I'm going to be leading a 3-hour seminar on the nature of transcendence and stepping into a zero-pointed or a non-dualistic mind, and how to work to cultivate our mind and our body so that it is free of suffering, or in theory, right? It can't be totally free of suffering, but going towards the idea of that 0-point mind. And Inamoto Sensei is going to be leading a 3-hour seminar as well on the legacy of Usui Sensei and how to connect him to our practice. So that's all going to be deep history, a review of the roots of Reiki from Usui's perspective. And keep in mind, if you don't know this already, to the listeners, Christine, I know you know this, but Inamoto Sensei is a member of the Gakkai. And the Gakkai is the organization that Usui Sensei set up for the preservation and teaching of Usui Reiki Ryoho. And it's a closed organization. You know, Japanese society is crazy secretive. Like, you can't just rock up there and get in and be a part of some sort of an organization. You have to know people. You have to get, you know, they don't just open the doors to anything. And the Gakkai is a closed organization. So we are going to be learning from one of the members of the Gakkai, which is incredible.
Yeah, that makes me really curious if that's why, you know, when one of the reasons, I know there's multiple, but when, you know, Reiki went west, why it was so quiet and secretive. Maybe it was just, you know, a rollover of Japanese culture and not like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't until it really hit the 1990s, 2000s that Reiki kind of came out of the box in the West.
Yeah, it very well could be, right? And these things are treated, it's for better or worse, right? There's like a crazy amount of cultural preservation. So we don't want things to get diluted. We don't want things to get concatenated and changed and all of that type of stuff. I don't mean we, I'm not Japanese, but Japanese society, right? It's for better or worse, to be honest. I know a lot of people who are expats that live there and they never feel welcomed, you know, that type of stuff. And that's fine. That's the worst bit. The better bit is when we get there And you see that, like how you were saying earlier, this idea that you want to be steeped in the meditative awareness, right? Because Japanese society is so culturally intact, everything that we experience on this trip is a walking meditation. Every meal, every house, everything that we do, even going on the subway, it's insane. The subway, the seats are heated, it's completely clean, and everybody is silent and respectful. Like there's nothing, there's no garbage, nothing is in disrepair. Everything is just like out of respect for the thing, because people are viewing like I don't want to get too far off topic, but people are viewing like the subway car, not as a car that's objectified, but as an extension of themselves. So they take care of it. You know what I mean? And this is incredible. It speaks to the safety of the country, by the way, as well. If anybody is like, oh, I don't know, I've never, been that far away from home or whatever. Japan is one of the safest, if not the safest countries on the entire planet. Full stop. Right. I think
then,
people the States will get there and be like, wait, this is way safer than the United States.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I know it's like, even in our small town that I'm in, we're having to leave the porch light on, and, people are trying to steal in the cars. And I'm like, this is not what it was 5 years ago. I live in a pretty tiny town compared to most American cities. And I'm like, and we're already having to kind of watch our backs all of a sudden, like we're now in city status. And I'm like, it will be nice to be in a country where it's like, you can be on the subway and feel safe. Like I feel like the idea of me going to like New York or Portland, Oregon, or Seattle, like those are probably, some big cities. I'm like, even when I think about it, I start like feeling like I'm gonna have a panic attack because I just don't do big, right? But this has such an air of respect and cleanliness, and just an overlay of like, of course you're gonna be safe. That I usually have a very visceral reaction to like certain names of countries and cities and things, because I can feel its energy, and so when I think about Japan, or I think about even Tokyo, like there's a different energy about it that I'm like, no, I think I could totally get on board with that. And I'm not, if you guys have been listening to me for a while, I'm a very timid traveler. Like I am. Like the idea of traveling, especially with my family, I'm not bringing my family this time, other than my father, he doesn't count. I get really like, I have to like make sure all of the things are done, and I get pretty anxious about the whole process. And I'm like, no, this will just be like so flow. And one, it's because I don't have to figure anything out, right? Like I'm trusting Bruce has figured it out. That's why I'm going on the tour. That's what I'm paying for. I'm paying for him to figure out the details and go, hey, you want this kind of sushi or this kind of experience? You can go right down the street, go down there, and they'll take care of you. And that's what's worth the money to me, is that I know that I have a tour guide, if you will, that I can lean back on and go, okay, now what should I do here?
Absolutely.
Have someone to kind of walk me through the steps so that I don't have to figure it out. I do not want to figure it out.
Yeah, and let me just say that as well. That's a really good point. While people are there, you won't have to figure those things out. If you're stuck, or if you're finding that you're lost or whatever, it is an insanely easy, when we're talking about Kyoto or Osaka, you're flying into Osaka, and this is literally how easy it is to get to Kyoto. You go the only way that you can possibly go out of the airport, and then there's a massive sign that says train to Kyoto. You follow that, and then you walk into this big room, and there's two different like desks, English and Japanese. So you go to the English, say you want to train to Kyoto, ticket to Kyoto, no problem. The next train's in 15 minutes. There you go. Thank you very much. And then you sit in your heated seat and you take the train all the way to Kyoto nonstop. You get out of the train, go to the taxi, show them your Airbnb address, and they take you right there. Even if you can't speak Japanese, obviously everybody going, I'm assuming, won't be able to speak Japanese. I don't speak any Japanese, and I've been there many, many times, probably 8 times now. I've never had any issue at all, ever, with language. That a simple Google Translate, how do I get to this? And then you show them in Japanese, and they're just like, yeah, it's right there.
Yeah.
Everybody is completely used to this or completely used to foreigners. And then if you get stuck, that's where I'm going to be at, right? So I'm always going to be accessible via communication on like Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp. So you can always get in touch with me if you should be lost. But you probably won't be, because most of the things we're doing is either going to be in group led by me or in smaller breakaway groups with clear destinations. You know what I mean? So imagine if maybe one group wants to go to a specific temple and another group wants to go check out the bamboo forest. What I'll be doing is just showing like, okay, so you get on the subway and I mean, there's a massive map and it says bamboo forest. Like it shows you directly how to get there. It's super easy. Everything is super easy. It can be a little bit intimidating for like the first 10 minutes, maybe, when it's like Japanese everywhere and the signs. But then you start to see like, oh, wait, every sign is also in English. Oh, wait, most people can speak English. Oh, wait, it's super safe. And I don't feel like people are trying to pickpocket me. I don't have to worry about anything. The food is super safe. All the water you can drink. Like there's no problems. You know what I mean? Like everything is open. And as far as diets go, you can have any type of food that you want. Anything is accessible because obviously it's a very metropolitan city. So everything from vegan to whatever you want, it's totally accessible.
Yeah, I think there was a couple points you made that like I'm really excited about. Like I have so many dietary issues, and I feel like out of any country I could go to, Japan would be like so easy for me.
Yeah.
My belly loves sushi. I can eat sushi all day long. As long as fish is in my diet, I'm really happy. But it's even more so like the idea of I don't have to worry so much about the gluten and the legumes and like all of these things that I'm
Right.
really, the dairy, like I'm not going to Germany where like
Right.
a major issue. Japan,
Right.
it's like their base food is like so so restorative, like fish bone broth. I'm like, I'm just excited for the fish bone broth. Like
Yeah, the miso soup, all of those
yeah,
things, it's just incredible, right? And remember, like there's so many blue zones in Japan, right? From what they eat. There's so many places where people live aggregately more than 100 years in Japan. One of them is very close to Osaka, actually. So the food it's just out of this world.
I'm
It's
gonna
another
eat my way
level of
through.
food. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so further to that, there's still more from the itinerary. So we've got these teaching opportunities, and then there's all the sightseeing around Kyoto. Kyoto was the former capital of Japan, right? It was the seat of the Meiji Emperor. And without getting too far into it, the Meiji Emperor was believed to be a deity, like a living god. So you can see that in Kyoto. So the old palace is this massive, beautiful temple ground and palatial ground. And radiating out from that are, I don't know, probably 150 different temples. Probably 40 of them are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. It's mind bending. Like everywhere you go is something new and amazing to discover. Beautiful walks through the mountains and in nature. It's immediately accessible. National parks around, and then there's the onsens as well, which I'm a huge sucker for. So these public hot springs that you just go and you soak away like in the pine forest. It's incredible. I can't wait.
I can't either. This is going to be fantastic. So if you are interested, we will put the link down in the show notes for how to learn more about the information, how to get a hold of Bruce if you want to connect. And of course, you can always contact me and I'll link you to him. But know that, we go to full pricing. Bruce goes to full pricing in February. So you have a couple more weeks to get on board, to get your payment in for the tour. And then he's going to be your guide to all of the pieces, how to, if you need help figuring out, well, what do I do for a passport, or what's the best airplane to travel in to get there, or where do I need to fly into, and where's the best, place to stay. He's going to get you covered. That's why he's got his own Facebook group specifically for accommodations to communicate all of that information. And I'm going as a participant, like I'm not leading it, but we will definitely get to hang out and meditate together. Definitely. Right. So we would love to have you join us on this trip. It will be a life game changer for sure.
Absolutely. You know, and I want to just reiterate one thing about the early bird pricing. It does end at the 31st of this month, right? So it's just under 2 weeks left to go. And that early bird pricing can be locked in or can be captured with just the deposit as well. So if you
Right.
just sign up for the deposit, which is €1,000, then that will ensure that your early bird pricing is locked in, right? And if people are like, oh, I don't know the conversion between euros and the dollar, super easy right now. It's pretty much 1-to-1 for all general purposes, right? So €1,000 is about $1,000, give or take maybe $20 or $30 or whatever. So you can just get an idea as to how that looks. So just by settling that, then that will give you not equal payments, but it will give you an opportunity to split up the charge of the tour amongst two different payments. And then from that, and we talk about this, both Christine and I talk about this all the time. If you have a Reiki business, most likely this whole thing, it will be for me, and I know it will be for Christine, is a tax write-off, a huge, big, legal, totally justified tax write-off because it's for your profession, right? And so what does that mean? Well, it means that you're probably going to be able to capture 30 to 40%, maybe more of the total price back to you in a tax refund. So all of a sudden, the trip becomes very, very, very lucrative. If you don't have a professional practice, you can still get that if you set up the necessary steps. That's a state-by-state basis or country-by-country basis, and it's too much to talk about here. Yeah. But I'm happy to help with some very, very general stuff. If you want to reach out to me, I can give some basic advice on that.
Yeah, knowing that we're not lawyers, we're not accountants, we're not tax advisors. We just have been in the business for long enough that we can kind of point you in the right direction.
Right. Yeah. If you have an accountant, that's where you start. Don't come to me first. If you've got somebody doing your taxes, talk to them. They're the experts. I'm not doing it long enough.
Absolutely.
But that tax write-off is no joke, right? So if people are like, oh, the price is expensive or whatever, first off, remember, this is an investment in your career. It's an investment in yourself. Just like with everything else on the planet, you're going to pay for what you get, right? This is an opportunity to deepen your education. So you're paying for one of the best educational opportunities you can possibly get in the world of Reiki at the moment, right? That then is reflected forever in your own practice and the prices that you can charge as a practitioner, or from an outside of a business perspective, simply the depth of your own practice, your own knowledge, right? You're making that commitment and you're solidifying that commitment by attending it and taking in all of the knowledge that we're going to be giving you in Japan.
Yes, yes, yes. So easy peasy decision, I think, for at least, me, but I want everyone who is listening to this to go to feel into, regardless of how new you are to Reiki, like whether you have been practicing for 20 years or you started last week, like feel into it, feel into this opportunity, to this knowingness that your practice is going to shift, your mindfulness is going to shift, your brain pathways are going to have a whole reset. Like this is going to be phenomenal.
Absolutely.
So what's that worth, right? So definitely check out the website. Let us know if you have questions. We've got plenty of YouTube videos that are going to be coming out with further information. So definitely check those out as well. And if you have questions, give us a shout.
If you are, that you raise a really good point there that I just want to get in before the end. If you are brand new to Reiki, what an opportunity, right? Like that's where you're starting from. That's insane. So if you've just taken maybe level 1 or you've just finished your master level or whatever, don't be hesitant on it and think, oh, I don't know, maybe everybody there is going to be some like ultra enlightened Reiki master. That's not the case. We're all trying to deepen our own practice. Even Inamoto Sensei is always working to deepen his own practice, right? So you are going to be amongst that crowd of people, which is just going to accelerate your own depth of practice if you're brand new to Reiki. This is a completely open and completely inclusive tour. There's not going to be anything that's talked about that is going to be out of the range of anybody, but everybody will be moving forward in their own practice together.
Yes. Yes, 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 absolutely. Love it. Well, thanks, Bruce, for offering this. Like you said, Sensei Hyakuten has never offered this type of opportunity before. So this is a rarity. And Bruce is the one who kind of weave that all together to make it possible. So thank you for taking the time to put this all together. And thanks for coming on for the show. Like, this is great.
Pleasure.
I always enjoy our chats, and I look forward to seeing you in Japan. I don't think it's going to be before that, since you're a world traveler and I'm stuck in one spot.
But we'll link up in Kyoto for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day, and definitely check out the link, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Be well.